A glass slips from a Navy SEAL's hand and shatters on the bar floor because the woman he mocked just revealed her call sign, Viper 1. The bar was dimly lit, filled with the low hum of voices and clinking glasses. A group of Navy SEALs had just returned from deployment, celebrating with laughter and stories of valor. But in the corner sat a woman, quiet, composed, with an air of mystery around her. She wasn't in uniform, just a simple jacket and jeans, but her presence radiated strength. When one of the SEALs approached her and asked about her call sign, he expected a laugh, maybe a dismissive shrug. Instead, she uttered two words, Viper 1. The room went silent, his glass slipped, and every man froze. She was used to the stares, the quiet whispers, the disbelief that followed whenever people learned who she was. To the world, she looked ordinary, a young black woman in her early 30s carrying herself with calm grace. But beneath that calmness lived a history written in grit, sweat, and sacrifice. Her name was Maya Jackson. Born into a family that struggled to get by, Maya had known hardship since childhood. She learned early that the world rarely expected much from someone like her, a black girl in a working-class neighborhood. Teachers told her to stay realistic. Friends told her to settle for safe choices. And society whispered that her dreams were too big. But Maya had fire in her veins, the kind that refused to be dimmed by prejudice or doubt. She grew up studying harder, running faster, pushing herself beyond limits that others thought impossible. Her dream wasn't just to serve, it was to serve among the very best, the Navy SEALs. It was unheard of. Few women had ever walked that path, even fewer women of color. But for Maya, impossibility was just another word for challenge. She trained relentlessly, every day pushing herself through pain, setbacks, and the subtle and sometimes not so subtle racism that tried to hold her back. The men around her didn't always welcome her. Many doubted she could endure the grueling training, survive the harsh drills, or keep up with missions designed to break even the strongest. But Maya refused to break. She rose through every trial, and in the end, she earned something that no one could take away. A call sign whispered with both fear and respect, Viper 1. The name had weight. It was more than a nickname. In the SEAL community, call signs weren't handed out casually. They were earned through sweat, through scars, through moments where life dangled by a thread and only instinct separated survival from death. Maya had earned hers during a mission that most never spoke of. Deep in hostile territory, her team was ambushed. Trapped, outnumbered, and running low on ammunition, it was Maya who crawled through the chaos, weaving through bullets like a serpent striking in the dark. She took out enemy positions one by one, moving with precision so lethal, so unnervingly calm, that when the dust settled, her commander gave her the name Viper 1. But even with a name carved in blood and courage, respect did not come easily. Racism had followed her into the ranks, sometimes hidden, sometimes blatant. Whispers that she was a diversity pick. Snickers that she was too weak or too soft. Looks that questioned her right to be there. Yet Maya never fought with words. She let her actions carve silence into their prejudice. Mission after mission, her leadership and skill proved undeniable. Slowly, grudgingly, those who mocked her learned to fall in line behind her. Still, the fight never ended. Off the battlefield, she encountered the same dismissive looks, the same disbelief. She had saved lives, earned medals, carried brothers in arms out of fire, and yet, in places like that bar, she was still just a woman until proven otherwise. That night, the SEALs who walked in didn't know who she was. They saw only what the world always saw first,
her skin, her gender, her quiet posture in the corner. They laughed loudly, boasting of their latest exploits, their voices dripping with the arrogance of men who believed they had nothing left to prove. When one of them approached her, curiosity in the tone, and asked her call sign, it wasn't a respectful question. It was a challenge, a smirk hidden beneath the words. He expected her to falter, to shrug, to admit she didn't belong. Instead, she lifted her head, her eyes steady and unflinching, and spoke 2 words, Viper 1. The glass slipped from his hand and shattered against the floor. The chatter in the bar died instantly. Every seal in the room turned, their faces twisting in confusion. Viper 1? They knew the name. Every man in that room had heard the stories whispered in training halls, passed down in hushed tones, tales of the woman who had turned impossible missions into survival, the one who had pulled soldiers out of burning wreckage while under heavy fire, the one who had struck like a shadow, precise and unrelenting. They had heard the stories, but none of them had imagined her sitting there in plain clothes, quiet and unassuming. And certainly not that the legend was a black woman. The disbelief in their eyes was almost tangible. Some gawked openly. Others clenched their jaws, uncomfortable with the truth unraveling before them. And the one who had asked the question stood frozen, his face pale, his arrogance shattered. Because in that moment, the weight of history collided with reality. He realized he had mocked, without knowing, a warrior whose name was etched in the very fabric of the brotherhood he thought he owned. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the sound of Maya calmly taking a sip of her drink. She didn't need to explain, didn't need to prove. Her call sign had done that for her. The room slowly returned to motion, though it was never the same. Some of the men lowered their eyes, ashamed. Others stared at her with a newfound respect, their bravado stripped away. And Maya? She simply stood, adjusted her jacket, and walked out into the night without a word. For her, it wasn't about proving herself in a bar. She had already proven herself in deserts, in jungles, in the silence of night raids where life and death balanced on the edge of a trigger. The call sign was not for them. It was for her, for every battle fought and survived when no one believed she could. But for the men in that bar, the lesson lingered. Prejudice had blinded them, arrogance had fueled them, and ignorance had betrayed them. They learned, in one humbling instant, that strength, courage, and resilience come in many forms, and that legends do not always look the way you expect. And so, the story of Viper 1 lived on, not just in the whispered circles of soldiers, but in every quiet reminder that greatness knows no color, no gender, no boundaries. The question is, how many more Viper 1s are overlooked every single day, dismissed before they've even been given the chance to prove themselves? And how long longer will society wait before it learns that true power is measured not by the labels we see, but by the lives we live?